Ready? Oh.
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 35-9, and we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols, and I caught you off guard. Every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles and all generations. We pick a topic, we pick some music, we get into it. Those Cliff Bars are chewy. I mean, they're meant to be chewy.
Deliciously chewy.
Like, they're packed full of calories so to get you through.
And delectable goodness.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I give you the peanut one. I like the peanut ones the most.
I feel like peanut butter is the best flavor of damn near everything.
I think so. If you add chocolate to that, then it's over.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I have a problem with it.
It takes something away. Like, I want chocolate or I want peanut butter. Reese's is a thing that exists, but I always just eat chocolate around the peanut butter.
I'm saying if you put them both together, then I'm over the moon.
Oh, no. Like, not to say I don't eat it, but
I love it.
I always end up eating them separate. I'm like the vampire in the Reese's commercials. Like, I like to eat the peanut butter first.
You got a little straw, and you liquefy
suck the peanut butter out. And then I'll eat the rest of the chocolate when I'm done.
I just took my shoes off. I hope that's okay.
You did that while we're talking about peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah. There's a whole kinds of smells going on upstairs. You don't even know. All right, so we are normally a weekly video game music podcast. Normally. For the next few months, we are going to be every other week. And I can finally announce that, yes, it's because I am now the new podcast dad. I'm the podcast father.
I don't know. You and Ed Wilson might have to start knuckling down.
No, we're gonna co-parent.
That's actually much better, honestly. I prefer that.
I have a newborn, and it's a challenge. So I think we're gonna switch to weekend recordings if that's all right with you.
More or less, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
but I think for the most part that should work.
Yeah, it used to be the other way around, but I think this might be because I gotta protect my sleep at all costs. All right, so this week's episode. Oh, is there anything else you want to talk about at the top? Anything you want to?
Honestly, I can't even think of it. February is the usual.
So February.
We didn't get to that yet.
Right, it's February. We want you to play 4 games. You can try to complete 4 games, right?
Yes.
Is that it's completing 4
Try
games.
to complete 4 games, though I will say this may be the first year where it might not happen for me.
This might be the first year it happens for me. Because I have a young baby. I'm sitting on the couch. I have no energy to do anything else. I am playing games for now.
But it's still got to be 4. Is there 4 games?
Okay. I tell you this. I'm actually really close to finishing Vampire Survivors, which is ridiculous.
You can finish that?
Yeah, there's a sort of an ending to it. There is a final boss, which it doesn't really finish the game, and then I can finish all the collections, which I'm close to doing.
That makes sense, yeah, as long as you can say, I have amassed a thing, or I beat the last new enemy you can fight.
Christy walks by and he's like, what are you playing that game again? I'm like, I can't stop. I'm playing Vampire Survivors on my iPhone 12 mini in portrait mode.
Jesus.
This game rules. I'll play it on anything. You put it on on an original Game Boy and I'll play it. We're playing Campfire. It was called
Cozy Grove.
Cozy Grove we kind of put behind because it's
that's the other Campfire game you're playing.
Yeah, we're playing
the
last Campfire, which is a great puzzler game that came out in 2020. We're playing Witchwood, which is kind of like a puzzler adventure / big time crafting game, which Christy actually started, and it's awesome.
Which I'm surprised by because just the day before you told me, you mentioned how you guys don't like crafting in games.
We're coming around.
It just took the right game.
It's got to be the right kind of intuitive type thing too. Like Cozy Grove, it's cozy and it's by the developers.
But it's no Grove.
It's the developers of Alpha Bear, which is awesome. So all the bears are super cute, and it's still the same kind of bears, but it's the whole mobile game thing where it wants you to play every day. Mm-hmm. So I can't just sit down with it and be like, I'm gonna sit here and play this for 8 hours. You can't. You can play it for 2 hours at the most, and then you have to wait for the next day for things to respawn.
That's why the game's called Cozy Grove. You spend most of the game time sleeping, waiting for the next day.
not in-game sleeping, just real-life sleeping. And then we're also playing Season. I forget the colon something.
Story of Seasons?
It's just Season.
Huh.
And it's really, really
Wait, is that the game about the kid who's recording the past?
Yeah, it's really good.
I was watching you guys play a little bit of that the other day, too.
It is scrapbooking the video game. It's awesome. You take pictures, you record audio, and you put it in your scrapbook, and you have to kind of make it look pretty and stuff. And then you move on. And you get on your bike and you keep riding. It's really cool.
That makes me a little sad. You could name 4 games, and I'm sitting there right now. I was like, have I played 4 games this month?
And I'm going to finish Tunic. I'm definitely going to finish Tunic probably in the next week. And
Wow.
then I really, really want to play some racing games. So I'm probably going to download.
Wreckfest.
I want to play a racing game, not a wrecking
No,
game.
that's a racing game. Look it up. Ed Wilson of the VG Embassy.
It's like Burnout. Like,
Wait.
I'm like, nah, I mean, not Burnout.
Ed just straight up told me, he came into Twitter the other day, was talking to me, or actually today, and he was like, I played tons of racing games. Like, what are your 3 favorite racing games? And his number 1 was Wreckfest. Wreckfest.
Okay.
I'm telling you, don't just look at it as Destruction Derby.
I've been watching videos of old Ridge Racer, and I got the itch to play Ridge Racer again. I want to play a game where I can just drift and not slow down. Where if I drift the car, I go faster.
You go faster.
That's what I want.
Just zip.
So I'm playing a lot of games. That's what we're doing. Well, me and my wife are playing a lot of games.
Meanwhile,
the baby's playing kind of.
Oh, the baby's playing its own game.
Yeah.
Pee when they ain't looking. That's how that works.
Yeah, it's just hanging out.
How many times can I get them to change my diaper in one day? Then I'm going to break that record.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Let me tell you, it's a whole new thing. But
so I think for me, I'm up to maybe up to 2 or 3. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm going to at least be able to say.
You're probably playing some longer ones too, right?
Just kind of how it worked out, because for better or for worse, I like to play games that other people are playing. I like the commiseration element of talking about games we play.
Yeah.
Which led me to playing Hollow Knight, because Curly Kevin suggested it in the group.
Yes.
Which then led me to playing that. And then we got a couple other casts that want to play too. We got Resolved User playing it. Jess joined us to play. Bedroth has kind of given us his play-by-play on his experience with the game in the past. Mm-hmm. And it's been interesting. We just all of us talking about that game.
So are you back into it, or are you just kind of prepping?
More for the first time. I had never played Hollow Knight.
I thought you had
This is my first time playing
Nice.
it and everything. And that game is just time on top of time. It just eats away at you. And especially if you're trying to find the next location that you need to go to with one ability. It's like, well, you found the one that needs 2 abilities. I'm sorry, Jimmy. But then there's that game, and then Game Fan was playing Fire Emblem Fates.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy. That's what happens every time. It's
Fire Emblem Fates. Just by the name alone sounds like it's a long game.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Especially if I wanted to go all in and play all 3 stories that the game has.
Okay.
If I do anything, at least for this, I'm only playing one of them, which is Birthright.
I think that's fair. I mean, that's a lot of story, a lot of game.
Now, there is one simple one that I might be able to pull off this weekend, if it happens. This weekend being the weekend after we recorded. I talked about playing the Goonies 2 for the NES again. Haven't played since 1989.
Yeah.
And Francis was talking about, we could just play through all in one day. So it might be like a thing where if I can get all my crap in order to sit down, we're going to play through the entire game in one sitting.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, it's not like, we're not playing Battletoads here. This is Goonies. You can finish this one.
But I am determined to not use FAQs. I believe that the experience is still back here somewhere.
Oh, I believe it too. I believe it.
Because the only thing that can hold me up is looking for the diving suit.
If you're working with somebody else, I think that's helpful, because then you have two experiences, 2 brains working together.
That is a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
So that we can fill in the gaps, because some of these games, it's like there's no clue. It would have to be in an FAQ or like a Nintendo Power,
Yeah, and someone was telling me that there's one thing where you have to. I'm not even making this up, unless it's not true, and the guy was lying to me. But apparently, to get the candle in the game, you're supposed to punch an old lady in the head 5 times with no reason to do so. And I'm like, is that really what we had to do? And you're telling me the game gave no indication that you had to do this horrible thing?
Kids were just doing it. They're like, wow, I was just going to do this anyway.
And she gave me a candle. Okay, whatever.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Hollow Knight, because today's episode is all about
adventure platformers.
Adventure platforming. So Metroidvania, that term, it goes all the way back to Symphony of the Night.
Mm-hmm. 1987.
It's a Castlevania game that plays like Metroid, but Igarashi and developers of other Metroidvania-style games after that say, no, honestly, it's more like Zelda. And I look back on it, and I'm like, damn, you're right.
They were saying that the Castlevania Symphony of the Night was more like Zelda?
It's more like Zeldavania. It's more like Zeldavania, because you're picking up skills and items to open up new places, but it's more of an adventure, But to me, Metroid borrows from Zelda also. It's all kind of together.
But therein lies the rub, and this will be brief because everybody's like, this is what the show became. Pernell ranting about Metroidvania.
Okay, let's define Metroidvania, what it means to me personally.
Yeah, let's do that. Do that.
Okay,
yeah, let's do.
So for me first,
yes,
side scrolling is important. 2D side scrolling or 2.5D, but it's 2D side scrolling, not top down. from the side.
From the side.
From the side.
If I can't see your abs from the side, it doesn't count.
Yeah, I want to see your shoulders moving.
I want to see shoulder blades.
I want a profile of your face. 2D platforming, more mostly platforming, with areas that you can only get to by earning skills throughout the game. And if you have leveling up and earning experience points and have bosses along the way, that's all bonus. That's fun. But like the main thing is you're exploring places you've already been before with new skills you've learned later on in the game.
Okay.
2D platforming, because I've read online a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this Tunic's is a Metroidvania, and I'm like, Tunic's a Zelda Souls-like. Like
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So do I match up with what your definition would be?
No.
Oh,
But there's some similarity.
we are friends no more.
Da, da, da! Metroidvania Wars. So for me,
Destroyed us.
the perspective is irrelevant as long as you maintain the foundations of what would make it otherwise.
Okay.
So the thing I agree with you on is that it has to involve some form of interconnection, allowing the player to go from different locations to other locations and obtaining abilities as they progress that allows them to access new locations either within old places or in further new places still. But that, to me, if it was just that, that's what Metroid is.
Yes.
Metroid is that. So then you always have to ask yourself, but most people don't, what makes it the Vania part? Where does the Vania come in? And this is a bit controversial, I get it, but because these elements didn't get introduced until Symphony of the Night, which means they technically weren't even Castlevania elements until this game.
Right.
But the leveling up is generally a requirement to me. But if not that, then some combination of growth in the character
Okay.
and growth in possibly equipment.
I was gonna say, right, like leveling like your sword or even just, upgrading to a new item to do something else. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. For me, like what makes these games to me like addictive and what makes them so pleasurable that I want to go back and play them all the time is that you played through a level, it was fun, it was cool, but you learn a new skill that you can go back and discover a new area that you didn't even think about walking through it. Like if you walk by and you're like, oh, I see a door there, I probably got to go back for it. That's kind of okay. But if you go through an area and you learn a new skill and you're like, oh, wait a minute, back there, I thought I saw something far in the background. Or maybe there's something up higher that is out of the view of the screen. Like that's exciting to me. Like then it's encouraging you to explore the edges of the game, of all the levels, of all the stages. That's Metroid still.
Yes, and that's where it gets funny too. Like over the years,
Castlevania to me is gothic vampires.
because it is.
That's what it's going on.
I mean, now I'll admit, over the years, I've accepted that I don't need to be pedantic about the topic. I'm good with just rolling with everybody else.
I think that's how I would start with Metroid first.
Metroid the baby.
It's Metroid first.
But it's just that whenever people hit with when they want to go deep into here's a Metroidvania Souls-like, I'm like, oh God, once you start trying to dig deep and be like, this is what it is, every once I'm like, just rein it in, don't get the dialogue.
It helps describe something for a game that you've never played before, only seen a screenshot of. What is the gameplay like? And they say something like that, I have an idea of what's in store.
And that's why I've leaned back from it more, right? Because it's one thing for me to be like, this is what it actually is. It's another thing for me to go, the word serving its purpose, I don't need to think about it beyond that. It's doing its job. Now, with that said, if I go to buy a game, and this is just me speaking because it's going to come up in the show anyway. We talked about Hollow Knight earlier, right?
Right.
I could be like, oh, Hollow Knight's a Metroidvania game. Cool, let me go get it. And I'm expecting my Hollow Knight to level up. I'm expecting my Hollow Knight to get a bunch of new weapons and such. But at best, he generally upgrades his nail. And everything else could be Metroid-esque. If I wanted to be like, I was expecting levels, I could be all like, no. But at the end of the day, I'm like, no. I've accepted at this point that when people say Metroidvania, it's interlocking environments that can be accessed through access of new skills and abilities. So I'm good with
it.
it.
Leaning on the Metroid side.
Leaning on the Metroid side. Yeah. The Vania is irrelevant almost.
Metroidmania.
Metroidmania
is what they're saying.
But I will say this last bit, though. I still find it hysterical when people genuinely, not facetiously, describe Metroid as a Metroidvania. Like they are seriously like...
No. Okay. If you go on Wikipedia and look up the Goonies 2 on the NES, it's a Metroidvania.
God.
No joke.
Like how? It's like, yeah, it does cover some of the elements, but if anything, it's a Metroid. I tell you, man, people crazy.
All right, let's get into some music. This is an odd-numbered episode, so we're going to start with you, Pernell. Oh, and later on, I got to say, we have a segment, a board game beats segment with some special guests that are waiting in the wings. We can't wait to talk to them. They're local. They've got some cool stuff and an awesome game that we're really excited to talk to about. So that'll be inserted in later. But right now, Pernell.
Well, I'm going to
enters the ring.
Bam, bam.
What's up?
Well, a number of these games I'm going to mention may be familiar to you as knowing me on the show, but what can I say? It's a Metroidvania episode. I got to get my plugs where I can get them. So this comes from the game Robbie Reeby. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I mean, that soundtrack is fantastic, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And side scrolling.
It is 2D. It is
two-dimensional.
None of the games I'm going to choose are 3D. I've only come across one that I need to play that's actually fully 3D. It's been described as a spectacular Metroidvania. It's called Superland. We can look it up later if you're like, what the heck are you talking about?
Superland.
But as far as this track goes, I had to choose between two, and I want to actually choose this one that I've actually never heard in game proper yet because it's towards the end of the game. It's called MR, Mr. maybe, from the game Robbie Reeby, composed by, I think it was Trio Dust. But there are other composers on the game, too. 3R2, MWT, and Lousy.
I will say that of the music you played on the show that you like from this game, it's always been from Trio Dust. So if you like this song, it's likely the same artist.
Probably Trio Dust. Welcome back. You're listening to MR from the game Robbie Reeby, composed by, we've confirmed it to be Trio Dust. I've played this on PS4.
Oh, it's Cray Spirit featuring Trio Dust.
Huh, yeah. Even better.
A couple of them.
There's two people. There's multiple people. I like the music.
I like the song. I like the speed of it, too. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah. And it fits well with the game's, the vibe that the game puts out there, especially as the game starts to get a little darker towards the back half of the game. But I've been playing Robbie Reeby off and on for years now. No shame in admitting it either, because it was another case of me doing that thing I like to do where I set the difficulty in a way that was not conducive to a free-spirited, free-rolling playthrough of the game.
Yeah.
Bosses level up beyond my player, which means I'll go into a fight like, well, I don't have skills that are really good for dodging and evading this guy, and unlike these no-hit, no-item run people, I don't have those skills. So it takes me many, many tries to beat some of the bosses, especially if I'm going for SS and double or triple S ranks and stuff.
So it grades you. So it's not only... You're not only fighting enemies, it's judging you while you do it.
Yeah, but the weird thing about it in this game, the grade helps you. So as you go up in rank, and it shows in the upper right corner the whole time you're doing it, you get buffs. So like if you're batting at like an S rank, you're doing 20% more damage to the boss. But if you take a single hit, you scale way back.
Okay, so, I like that. So it's your performance is rewarded by like better performance almost.
Exactly. You get defense buffs, you get attack buffs. It's kind of like you can't get hit.
Kind of like those rhythm action games where like if you do everything on time to the beat, you get better speed or better attack, like Crypt of the Necrodancer, that kind of thing. As long as you stay on time. This one's as long as you don't get hit, I'm assuming.
Which is funny you mentioned timing and speed, too, because the thing that makes Robbie Reeby so special for a Metroidvania is the fact that it also incorporates bullet hell mechanics.
Yes.
So whether it's a normal mob on the screen or bosses, you can bet your sweet Bippy that bullets will be flying and your hair will be falling out of your head.
I always find that really interesting that and this isn't the only one to do it, but that it's a side-scrolling platformer with bullet hell elements. So like the bullets are flying around in the screen in like very interesting patterns, in which normally in a shoot 'em up game, like you have full control all around the screen of where you can move and dodge. But in this one, you're restricted by your movement, which is really interesting because my next game is the same idea. It's from a game called Toho Luna Nights. Ooh. So it's based on the Toho series of bullet hell games. The artist is PeepoSoft. The track is from Stage 2, The Maid in the Pocket Watch of Blood. like to play a lot of board games, right?
No, what are you talking about? I don't touch the thing.
You play more board games than a board game could board game. Anyway, this is this is now the part of the show where we talk about cardboard and plastic and cards. This is the Board Game Beats, starring Pernell and Rob.
Honestly, I've come to really like this segment of the show because it allows me to eject that element of just that aspect of what we like to do. Like, we play tons of board games. Honestly, I'd go so far as to say, in many respects, I've I can't speak for. I think you too. I play more board games than video nowadays.
Yeah, I'm slowly shifting the other way around, as we've talked about. But yeah, I think I really get excited to play new board games. Learning new games is like it's like a dopamine hit in my brain.
Absolutely.
But talk about new games. We've got some new friends on the show who just popped in for the segment. The creators of a new game. It's called Pocket Spades from T-Boy's Table. We've got Terrence and Isaac on the line. How are you guys doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey guys.
It's really nice to be here.
It's nice to have you guys here. It's nice to have you. It was actually pretty cool how I ended up meeting Terrence. So I went to PAX last year, PAX Unplugged, and I'm doing the walk down the aisle, doing my damnedest to not spend money because that industry's got enough of my cash for a little bit. And I came across their booth, and it clicked for me immediately. Two things. One, I recognized a game that I came across during the pandemic called Rapka. And then the other thing, quite frankly, black board game designers. It is a surprisingly rare thing to see. It shocked me, and it brought up a lot of conversation. He, myself, his father, Mark was there too. We all just gabbing, just talking shop. It was a lot of fun.
Listen, that was probably a really great moment in and of itself. Obviously, being here today through that moment, we didn't know how scarce the concept of black board game designers was in that whole facility. I've been rocking with Omari Akil and Hamu Akil for a long time, even when they first started Rap Gods, and it's so far few and in between to see booths set up, with black designers. And, I digress on that note. It was just really nice and pleasant to have a lot of people receive that type of energy when they came to our booth, especially during PAX Unplugged. Like you said, it was a breath of fresh air, and well, not like you said, but it was a breath of fresh air, honestly.
It's like, I feel like the industry's growing. It's growing quickly, but I feel like the players getting involved is growing diverse. And so having a more diverse group of people developing these games is going to represent the players as well, and it's only good for the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and It's really good to see that.
And I would say even just the nature of Pocket Spades existing, and I'll let Terrence explain that, but when he was telling me about it at the show, I was like, that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Pocket Spades. I'm having in my hand here. It is a small box of cards. Really, I love the design. This kind of teal blue and dark black. It's really slick.
High card quality.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice card stock. I'll give it that.
Yep.
I'll give it a little ASMR right there. But yeah,
The snap.
Tell us a little bit about the game, how it plays, and how it came to be, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'll let Isaac go over the rules and how it actually is played. But first and foremost, it definitely was a brainchild of my wife, actually. You got to have a great partner on your side who really supports your dreams, because I came up with at least 4 or 5 other games that are still in development, that I was just so gung-ho about, ready to go into the industry with. But I needed something to obviously stand out apart of the crowd. Everybody's out here with tons of games on Kickstarter. There's a lot of designers out there, and no one's really sticking out like a sore thumb. The most I could possibly come up with, and especially with my wife, piggybacked off, was something that probably no one has done yet. Was a new version of Spades, and especially how popular it is. It's worldwide, and no one's ever really had a chance to publish it. And we didn't discover that actually up until after we came up with the rules and the designs and everything. But yeah, I came up with the designs myself. I'm an artist. I'm an artist. I have a background in that. I went to Rhode Island School of Design for film, animation, and video.
Nice.
In and of itself, it's just I'm an eclectic warrior of the art genre, and we can get into my background a little later, but if you want. But the concept is that it wasn't hard for me to come up with my own concept and designs based upon what I understood. And one thing I understand about games is theme drives the mechanic.
Trust me, it's not just in your mind. I have friends who will reject the game for lack of theme, flat out.
It's funny because like you can play a great game and you're like, oh wow, these rules could be interchangeable to any kind of theme, but like what got you? What got you to the table, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, I think in and of itself, and what I presented my man Isaac with was a concept, and I was like, you know, one thing I would like to see in this game is a stack ability. The idea of having something that's personally yours that can be accessed. You feel me? Because we're already pissed off enough that someone's taking books from us. Mm-hmm. But what if we can actually access a stockpile of your points? Mm-hmm. And that's where that came from. Theme led, carried on to the mechanic. Right. And I came up with a very great concept, but it wasn't refined enough. It was just stacking for the sake of stacking, but it never actually had anything to do with the concept of what spades and its essence and keeping that essence was. Because this was the point. This is a marketing concept for me, the game itself, because I wanted people to know that this game exists and it's cool, it's hot. T-Boy's Table is going to be hot because you're going to be ready for my next game. But the idea is that I needed this game to actually be well received. And that's where my man Isaac came in. Isaac, can you go over the rules a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Rob and Pernell, are you guys familiar with spades in general? I mean,
yes.
He's a little more familiar. I played Hearts like 20 years ago.
Okay,
it's been a long time.
on Windows 95 or like it
was like on an overseas trip with like a bunch of like German people who only knew how to play Hearts.
We actually had a pretty funny combo about this. Like, how's it that you played Hearts and I play spades? I don't get it. But at the end of the day, hey,
I mean they're two sides of the same coin basically. I
right.
mean it's a trick taking game. One you want to keep your books, the other ones you want to get rid of them. So in this concept is typical spades. Spades is a trick taking game. Trick taking in the concept of we all play to either a suit or color or some type of objective, right? And then whoever has the highest suit in that concept wins what's called a book. So that's pretty much spades in a nutshell. In our case, we're leading with the same typical suits in a 52 deck of cards, except our deck is 60 cards. And I'll explain that in a second. So as you're playing typical spades, like everybody leads with a suit and tries to play a second higher suit, you have a second option. You're playing to what's called a pocket. And in the first two rounds of our, trick-taking game, you're setting up your pocket. The first time you play to that pocket, you're setting up a card that's going to guard your pocket in a sense. And then you're playing a second card that's going to stockpile your card. And so every turn you're playing a card to the table and you're playing a card to the pocket. Cards played to the table, typical spades fashion, whoever plays the highest suit wins. And in spades you can't play a different suit unless you cut into a different suit. And so as you're going around, we're playing to the table. And then your second action is playing to the pocket. When you play to the pocket, you can do one of three things once you first set up the initial two phases of your pocket. You can either stash, which is keep more cards in your own pocket. You can upgrade your live defending card and put that card back in your pocket. Or you can do what is going to be normalized in this game, is running other people's pockets. And so what that means is if you have a card of a higher suit or higher value in the same suit as someone else's live card on their pocket, you're going to play to their pocket, basically run through their pockets and take one card of your choice and replacing it with the card you ran their pockets with, and then putting it in your own pocket. So this is the mechanic that we kind of refined and talked about since Terrence wanted to kind of have that kind of stack element or that personal aspect of keeping cards for yourself, right? I like refined it a little bit more.
I like this.
It's absolutely what
strategy spades. It's awesome.
Absolutely, like it's more conceptualized to not only are you trying to win books on the table, but you're trying to keep your pocket in check, because at the end of a round, those cards in your pocket are worth bags. and those bags turn into books as long as you can keep them protected.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot because part of that mechanic kind of reminds me of a card game called Netrunner, where like it's like asymmetric like fighting. One guy's like hacker, one guy's has a set of servers, and so like they're kind of using cards to protect other cards. And if you can hack into those cards and overcome them, you can take them back as points. But this is a much more, I think, to me, a universally understood like idea. I like this a lot.
And from what I remember,
and it's team based too, which I really like. 2-on-2 style games.
It's team based.
Yeah,
yep.
which is really really nice. So you're kind of like
optimally team based, right? You can play 3 or 2, but it's better played with 4 people.
I bet, yeah, because then you're creating like rivalries with each other and stuff. Like,
oh my
that's
goodness.
really fun.
Yes.
And from what I remember too, while we were talking about at the show, one of the elements to why you wanted to take spades, but then gamify it just a bit more, was the fact that I remember you saying that spades is a pretty universal, like culturally universal game that we all play. And we shared in this, which is I kind of appreciated this. We both shared the idea that, or the experience that getting other people in your family or friend base to play board games and tabletop games is like pulling teeth.
Oh my goodness.
Teeth. So, but at the same time, you're like, you want to play Pity Pat? You want to play spades? Bam, everybody's sitting there ready to go.
Yeah.
Dominoes, I'm in. So it's like, so how do you take those things, but then get them closer to what I want?
Oh man, you know what kills me even more is like you can't get someone to sit down and be like, okay, you're gonna learn how to play Ticket Try. They're like, no. Like, okay, but you'll sit down and play 8 hours of Monopoly and hate yourself for it. Like, yeah, okay.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I grew up with Monopoly, so that's what we all did.
Yeah.
I'll play Uno for 12 hours.
Okay, I like Uno.
Well, Uno's fun, but then the problem is, and I stand by this, Uno wasn't truly good until you house ruled it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
no, that's
absolutely.
the point of spades. That was actually the rule. That's the concept of spades too. There is a universal house rule for spades now. You know that there's only really one way to play spades in the black community. In and of itself, it's like 3 books. If you renege, if you set, you got to go board, or you gotta go blind. Certain things like that, sandbagging, which we kind of reinitiated or reformatted for a new term now. But that's the whole thing. There's only been one way to play spades now, through the house rules.
Do we know the history of spades and how it became so like prominent within the black community?
That I don't. Maybe you guys do.
That is a very good question. No, honestly, I did some research, and it was like the 1930s is when it came out. Supposedly when it started. I'm not sure if it started in the Navy or anything like that, but that's what I've read most of the time that it's been played. I'm not sure when it became synonymous with the ethnic cultures in general.
I'm wondering if it's like regional too. You know, the East Coast.
It probably is. Yeah. You know, because dominoes you play in the West Coast. You know, tunk what you play in the South, or you know, and then you got spades in the East Coast. I'm not sure where the heck this stuff came from, but regardless, we grew up with it, and it's what we knew.
It's funny
I played it in my lunch.
And it's funny you say that too, because I played Pity Pat for many years as a child.
Absolutely. Yep.
And my dad from the South, is the one who eventually taught me how to play tunk, who I then had to teach it to my northern relatives.
Right, yep, absolutely.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah, tunk.
No, it is. I mean, I played this in the lunch during lunch in high school all the time, Like there was competitions heavy, and I honestly didn't realize how great it was, or how serious it was until high school for me. And then. Yeah.
All I was going to say is I genuinely prefer your high school gaming situation, because unfortunately my lunch table was playing freaking Magic, and even back then that game wasn't cheap.
No.
Nah.
I think we were playing War.
Imagine.
We were just like, highest card wins. Highest card wins. Highest card wins.
But even that can get cyclic in its manner, right? And
yeah,
so
it's like a rock paper scissors tournaments can get really really heated because everyone's starting to read each other's minds and
it's funny you mentioned War too, because I actually met a guy. I can't say too much because obviously he's designing the game himself, but I met a guy recently. He's doing that. He's doing a more gamified take on the game of War now. And he was like, "You try my game." I was like, "What is it like?" He's like, "Well, you ever play War?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like I was immediately like, "I'm not really feeling your game, buddy. Where are you going with this?" Like, "No, I made it better." I was like, "Okay, then we're talking." And it was a pretty fun game. So it's like, it just goes to show, like, the right mind, the right ingenuity, you can take any game and ramp it up to make it just a bit or a lot better, so long as you know where you're coming from and where you want it to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, and I mean, I honestly thought to myself too, and I got a lot of my friends into playing Magic. We play Magic religiously now, since I've decided to get into board gaming. And the concept is it only takes one introduction for people to get hooked on something that they really, really enjoy and didn't know they could enjoy. So this is my essence and my basis for what I'm trying to do with my company. This game is incredibly basic. You know, it's incredibly intro. It's incredibly new novice type of style, where the game itself was already novice. It was just a lot of stigma around who can sit at the table if you're good enough.
Yes.
But the concept is that now you are invited to come play something that is new fashion, but has an old style feel to it with the basics. And in and of itself, all I'm trying to do is introduce you to the world of tabletop with my next game after that, which has a little bit more tactics and flow that come with the tabletop genre, which is honestly for, you know, the Black culture, the ethnic culture, and I'm just trying to get more people in our world to see that this is a crazy great thing to get involved with. Not just video games, which is great as well, but I love getting together and talking crap with my friends and making sure that no one beats me at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, like Rob and I have been video games. That's how we met, through video game. Gaming forever.
Like 80 years ago.
Nature time. But
we were little.
The thing that made me, and I think Rob also eventually kind of shift more towards board game type stuff, is it kind of aligns with the trash talk that you mentioned earlier. But there's something to be. It's one thing to yell at a guy, "Oh, I beat you in Street Fighter," whatever. What you got? What you got? It's another thing to take a man's money at the table and actually reach across the table, take the bill, and remove it from his person with your eyes locked on him. Like, yeah, this is mine now. What are you gonna do about that? Win it back?
Listen, don't let somebody run your pockets and then take your money after that. That's exactly the problem with this game.
All right, so we're running low on time here. Why don't you guys give a quick shout out to T-Boys, and you guys talked about a new event, an event that's popping up in Philly?
Yeah. So T-Boys Table Games, TBOYZ, tablegames.com is where you can find pocket spades. Come, check out our my story, Isaac's story, and follow our Instagram, pocket.spades. And also we have an event coming up on February 25th. It's called the Philadelphia Gaming Expo. I will be posting it on our Instagram page, pocket.spades once more. And it's congruent to mobile gaming, digital gaming format. Tournaments will be held. My game will have a tournament. There are two different spots for tabletop and mobile gaming, and the Eventbrite will be listed.
Nice. We'll have all of those links on our website too, and in the show notes below of the podcast. And then real quick before you guys go, do you have a favorite game or favorite current game, or maybe a favorite game that got you into tabletop gaming? Can you think of one?
For me, I want to shout out a friend of mine, Hero, Tales of the Tome. He has created a game where you do not need to update or replace the deck. It has a Magic the Gathering type of feel to it. Your characters are the people that you play with, that you grow and develop over time in periods of rounds.
Oh.
And you collect monsters to become your allies or people that you use to fight along with. And it's a great game, and I think I fashioned a lot of my games around that as well.
You said it's called Tales of the Tome?
Hero. Tales of the Tome.
Yeah,
I'll
that
sounds
sounds really cool.
It's ridiculously great.
What about you, Isaac? You got anything on your mind?
So my favorite game as of right now is Ephemeral Spell and Steam. For tabletop, it's by a company called Level 99 Games.
Yeah, they do some good
Fantastic
stuff.
game.
Yeah, we know.
Oh, I'm sitting here writing the darn name of the game down. I have it at home.
I'm sure.
Ephemeral Spells and Steam. The giant
Yeah,
rectangular box or square box.
Right, giant rectangular box. It's an anime style play on the 18xx genre, except it's more so combo building. Absolutely gorgeous presentation, but the combos that are in it, the replayability of it, and Level 99 for me has been one of my favorite studios, just kind of in general. But that's definitely on my table right now. So
that is a good studio to hit Herald too. I'm still trying to get Rob to the table to get back on BattleCon.
Yeah, we did that ages ago, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's like right up my alley. We just haven't like finished that one.
If you can't set,
no, go ahead.
If you can't set that one up, play Exceed.
Exceed. So I guess if we got like another minute or so, like Exceed compared to BattleCon, is Exceed like more streamlined, or is it just like what makes it stand out?
So the difference between the two, they play the same system. Exceed is a little bit more streamlined, where you have just a single character and you customize it out of the pack, different worlds, so on and so forth.
Okay.
BattleCon is more, I know exactly what you're capable of 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of a footsie game at that point.
Yeah,
so,
which I kind of like, because I come from a fighting game background, so that's like my thing. So I really like that.
And I like it because the reason why I suck at fighting games is because I can't get the button combos at just the right time. If I'm playing cards and do the thing, I'm
super
like,
fast.
That's right, but not with this game. I'm like, you know what? I got these two cards. I'm going to step back 2 spaces and throw an uppercut because I can rush in. Nah, I love that game. It's a solid pile.
Well, thank you, Terrence and Isaac, for hanging out with us tonight.
It was a lot of fun.
I appreciate you guys.
All right.
It was a lot
Thank
of
you.
Thank you, guys.
Man, that was nice having him on the show.
It really was. It felt good to finally close that loop. I met up with Terrence. I mentioned it in the interview, obviously. I met up with him months ago. But as we all know from hearing Rob and I talk, it's been a tumultuous period of time, like as far as like scheduling and stuff. So coordinating to get him on has been tough. But I'm glad that they were able to come on, hang out with us, and have a good conversation. They're genuinely good guys.
Yeah, and I can't wait to try the game, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready. That's the funny. This is one of those situations where I was like, oh, yeah, I got it. I'm going to use it.
I think it'd be better with a fourth player. I'm going to get my nephew.
Oh, man.
No, I'm going to upset my nephew. I'm going to make him upset.
No, nonsense. If he's on my team, we're going to take
Unless he's on my team.
We're going to take you guys for broke.
Either way, on either side, we're going to be competitive and ruin his day.
Oh.
All right, so we're on to your next track now.
All right, so my next track comes from another game I've mentioned on the show a few times, but it's okay because you can't mention Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom nearly enough. And the track title from this game is The Crystal Caves, composed by Hiroki Kobayashi. Welcome back. You're listening to The Crystal Caves from the game Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom, composed by Hiroki Kobayashi. So, it shouldn't be a secret, but if it is, you're going to hear the secret right now. I adore Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom so very, very much. I'm a big fan of it ever since the days of playing, I guess, like Dragon's Curse, which is now known as Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap, back on the TurboGrafx 16. One of the two games that pretty much made me go out and get a TurboGrafx 16 console. And this game came out when I least expected it to. It was just dug up from like the video game archives, and developers decided they wanted to revive this franchise. And what we got was an exemplary example of gameplay. It's wonderful in every sense of the word. You still have the aspect of like the mobility transitions coming in the form of or animal/monster transformations. So
right. To have the Monster Boy core gameplay of the animal transitions. That's a Monster Boy thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me rephrase that. Maybe not a monster. Well, yeah, Monster Boy. If you get into the Wonder Boy, Monster Boy history, you'll lose your freaking mind. I got stumped for a second.
We did that with XVGM Radio, didn't we?
We did. It was a hilarious episode trying to lay that all out.
Yeah.
But I just, for the sake of this, I will just say, yeah, that is a staple of Monster Boy, in that he can transform into multiple animals. Initially, he can only do it by way of shrines, which means you're limited to what you can do based on, like, I'm a lion right now. Until I get to another transformation station, I can only do what a lion can do. It sounds funny to say. But eventually, you can just transform the animals on the fly, which is perfect because on one hand, you're not limited by having to go back to changing stations, thereby not respecting the player's time. But you are still limited by what form you're in at a given moment, which means a lion can't do what a snake can do.
Right.
But if you need to do what a snake can do, you can become the snake as opposed to being the lion.
Be the snake.
Just be the snake. And but it's so good. You have equipment. The equipment can be upgraded.
Yeah.
It has different stats. You don't level up, but you get the typical heart containers and all that good stuff.
It's kind of a leveling up. It's just not like number system.
Not numeric.
Yeah, not like, which is an extra little dopamine hit for like newer players now. Like seeing those numbers flash across the screen is like always a nice little thing.
That is very true.
This music is fantastic.
Yes.
I love the percussion in the background. I love the sound of like that kind of opening synth, and that melody is really video gamey, but like in a jazzy video gamey kind of way. I'm really loving it.
You were claiming top 10 of the year.
Yeah, this is up there for me. I'm gonna bookmark this track for my annual. I mean, hopefully it contends with the rest of the year, but this is really good for me.
Well, I'm fingers crossed that I'm going to come across some absolute bangers throughout this year. If I'm going to be putting time into video games, then I better get some good music out of the deal.
Really, really like this one. All right, so my next track is one from, I know that you've played, and I've watched you play some of this. It looks like there was a newer edition of this one that came out later, and I'm really, really interested in getting back into this one, or at least seeing if I can, if it's on the PS4. This is Dandara Trials of Fear edition.
Oh, nice choice.
Yeah, so this one, it's side-scrolling, it's side platforming.
Yeah, there's no scrolling. But scrolling is limited.
But scrolling is extremely limited because you cannot walk. You can only teleport from place to place, like height, like jump from ceiling to floor. It's really, really cool looking. So we're going to listen to the track Weight of a Doubt, which is the boss theme, composed by Thomas Kaufmann. That's so good. No, that's so good. This is the soundtrack version from of the track. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. This is the soundtrack version of the boss theme from A Weight of a Doubt from Dan Dara. This is the Trials of Fear edition by Thomas Kaufman. That is a goosebumps track right there.
It was good.
Oh, I feel that thing.
I was dislocating and relocating my shoulder every step of the way.
This game is unique in the Metroidvania style for now. in that it's still like, I don't think there's a lot of like leveling in this game, if I remember, but it's mainly exploration, gaining new abilities, skills, and items. But the main hook of this is movement. Movement is very limited. In the way that Bionic Commando's hook is like, you can't jump, right? Mm-hmm. You have to use that arm to swing around. In this game, you can't walk.
You can only hop and bop.
You have to like teleport from one place to another, and you're angling your jumps from some place to place to place, and it actually makes the game. You have to think of it from all different angles then, because the game it spins around in circles. You're on the ceiling, you're on the ground, you're on the ceiling, you're on the ground.
I guess
it's very different.
In an odd sense, like you'll be sitting on a block and you're staring at a platform that is right next to you, and you can't reach it
right
because you have to ricochet from a direction to get there, which means you have to find a way around in order to get to the platform that is right next to you.
And in a boss situation, and I've only ever seen the gameplay of the bosses, it's like you're also attacking at the same time using kind of the same mechanic of like angling your shot, almost like I would say
like a Mega Buster,
like Yoshi's Island, where you kind of have to like set your angle and then do your move.
Oh,
yeah. So you're setting your angle, then you're jumping. You're setting your angle, then you're attacking. But at the same time, you're being surrounded by stuff trying to kill you. And this music plays, and this music is so good. This whole soundtrack is phenomenal. And it took this topic for me to go back and be like, oh, that's right. That's what this game was.
And I'm amazed you remembered that, because I only played it like that one time, and you must have been there when I did.
It's like this came out around the same time as another one that I cannot remember the name of, where it's like kind of top down. And you're like wizards, and you're jumping around. It's pixely.
You're wizards?
Yeah, wizards.
Like, are you talking about the one where it's like you're like the... Not Wizards of Destiny, because it's that wizard game where you have like the magic spells. You can mix and match the spells. And
it's probably Wizards of Destiny.
I got a feeling I don't think that is it, but it's close. I know in my head what the game you're talking about.
Not it. Yeah, but it's something similar to that. But
it's a red wizard and a black wizard.
Yes.
Red wizard, blue, green.
Yes.
And you kind of dash. Like I said, you dash. You get like dash across spike pits and stuff like that.
And this came around the same time, and it is a pixel art style, but it's very and it's a lower resolution pixel art style, but it's so expressive. It's so expressive in the way that it's done, like almost like how like Flashback or Another World was pixels. It was like
Wizard of Legend.
Thank you, not Wizards of Destiny. But like it's still a low resolution number of pixels, but it's very cinematic looking, in its limited palette. And this game is the same way. It's a limited palette, limited number of pixels in the resolution, but it still conveys a lot of like emotion and movement. It's very cool. Yeah, it's just great animation.
I'm teasing.
Really
I agree with you.
Different and interesting gameplay style. And this music was like kind of sticks in your head for a while.
It's just sad though, because like for as awesome as it is and the way you describe it, a lot of people did opt to not give it a chance, specifically because they didn't want to deal with the jumping element, which I think, to each their own. I'm not going to knock it, but I feel like you're cheating yourself out of a potential new experience.
Okay, if I'm sitting,
you want the familiar.
I know. If I'm sitting down playing Metroidvania, it's mainly because I like the tight platforming from Symphony of the Night. The controls in Symphony of the Night felt so good. I'm usually chasing that high. And this game is very different from that. It's the same exploration, the same kind of thing, but it's not that kind of control. It's just a different control.
That is true.
And it kind of takes it away from you and gives you something different to work with. So I'm very interested in that. And it looks gorgeous. So that one came out years ago, right? It was like...
It's been a bit. It came out on PS4 at least, though, so it wasn't too long ago.
Maybe not 10 years ago, but probably like 7 or 8.
Yeah, but it's disturbing the fact that technically we are at the point where PS4 could be almost 10 years old.
Yeah, and I'll just keep buying games for it. All right, what's your next track, Pernell?
We stop.
We can play it again. I'm happy to.
So this actually comes from another game that I enjoyed enough that I played through it in its entirety. I want to say during a 4 in February even. This comes from the game Steam World Dig 2, and the track title is called New Heights in El Machino, composed by El Huervo, Shelby Cinca, and Dennis Wheaton. Welcome back.
That's so good. That's great. That's great.
See?
Yeah, that hit it. That
Sounds like 2
hits
for the
it
top
me.
10.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
2 for the top 10
That's
of 2023.
that's
only
really good.
February.
Wow, that's good.
Hey, I spent a lot of time listening to this track in end game, and I never got tired of it.
Is this stage music or like
no?
like,
It's
like,
the hub.
It's the hub. It's the overworld kind of like. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, whenever
That's
you go
great.
back home to sell your not quite ill-gotten gains, you basically get to listen to this music, running around, talking to the mayor, selling your gear, saving your game, upgrading your kit. It's just a fantastic game. Steam World Dig 2 is in the upper echelon of Metroidvania games. I will stand for it. I will stand for this title. I booted it up, and I want to say it was during one of those periods where I felt like I was being pressed for time, but the moment I had the opportunity to put it down for a 4 in February, I immediately rushed back to it. It was an easy choice, and I didn't put it down. It was one of those games where I only played it until I was done before moving on to something else.
You played it Rob style.
That's right.
Oh man, this is nice.
And it's a simple game too, because at its core, your only goal is to dig further down,
right,
to get to the bottom of whatever mine shaft you're in, with the hope of saving a friend named Rusty. So the midst of doing that, though, involves you tunneling downward, mining for ore and resources you can sell. But you have a limited light source, which prohibits you from staying in there for too long. So you go down, mine for as long as you can, go back to the surface, sell your loot, upgrade your robot, get a better light, get a better pickaxe, get a jetpack eventually, all kinds of cool stuff. Then you go back down and you do it again.
I mean, like, that sounds fun. This music is selling me on it, like, right away. Like, right away.
Well, there you go. Just know that every time you go home to make a sell,
this is playing.
This is waiting for you.
It says this is by El Huervo, Pell Canderby, and Mikhail Norgard. But no, this is Jay Dilla. This sounds like Jay Dilla, like instrumental hip hop, like
Jay Dilla.
Jay Dilla.
The Piccadilly?
You'll know. Anyway, you can look them up.
He's like, you have no idea who that is, deeper. I do know.
It's very like this is. I don't know. Like it hits like a nostalgia button for me too. Like I hear this and I hear like
Wendy
old
Canyon.
soul records, and I hear like that bass line reminds me of like I don't know something else. I like this a lot. This is fantastic.
Go outside and
We'll just
play.
get to that bass line again. There it is.
Hang with your friends all day.
There it is. Oh, it's so nice.
When the sun goes down, it's time to go inside.
Oh man, it's just
It's time to
it's
go
funky.
to bed tonight.
it's just playing around with it. It's great.
Fun waits every next day. Hanging outside with your friends to play with the basketball, passing it back, or take a 2-shot pass and you're on the floor because you twisted your ankle and you got. I love this track so much. It's so good. The game is so good.
It's so
This
good.
episode, it just ended up being a good
Yeah.
repository for fantastic jams.
I think what we're discovering is that the style of game, the game that's in the title of the podcast, has just some fantastic music. There's very few of these where it's just atmospheric background noise, and there's a lot of it's out there, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes you really need that, but so much of it is really thematic. It's really carrying the level, the theme of the level, not just the visuals, not just the gameplay, but the music is really carrying it along. And so it needs to be strong. And all of these tracks are really strong.
It's gotta be cool. It's gotta be strong. It's gotta have rhythm.
Gotta do it together.
No, it's got the way. That's
right.
what they say.
Love will be the way.
Is that what they say?
All I know is love will save the day.
I never knew that. I just ad-libbed
know is love will be the way.
it. Words I don't even know.
Who is that? You gotta be strong. You gotta be something.
You gotta be strong. You gotta be tough. You gotta be wiser.
You gotta
And
be
then
wiser.
You gotta be cool. You gotta be calm. You gotta stick together.
Gotta stick together.
Something.
Love was some way.
Way.
Well, I'm gonna figure that out. All right, so my next track is not from that song for sure. This is very different. This is from The Mummy Demastered.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the artist is Monomer. The track is Salt and Sepulchre.
But not about this.
No, this is good. This is very good. This is from the game The Mummy Demastered by Monomer. Salt and Sepulchre. We've only played one track from this one other track from this game on the show, and that was last year.
And I'm still floored by that because I feel like I would have picked at least one other track.
It's a good soundtrack.
Double check. I'm positive. There's that one track that I like in the second area of the game. I can't imagine having not picked that before.
I search our website the word mummy, and only one episode comes up.
But what about Demastered?
I think those two goes hand in hand.
I don't know. Maybe
Yep, it's the only one.
I am baffled by this.
Me too. We've talked about it a lot. So this is one I've never played. I really want to because it's so interesting to me that it's based off of the Mummy remake with Tom Cruise, yet they made their own game in that world completely different from Tom Cruise.
Yep, it has literally nothing to do with it.
And it's the whole concept of that you're like kind of like this Marine military team going in fighting these creatures, but if you die, you don't come back as the same person. You come back as another guy.
Yeah, a new soldier.
You
have to find the actual destroyed corpse of your previous soldier who is now under the control of the mummy.
Yeah.
And you have to defeat it and get your stuff back. But that's the thing.
It's cool.
People would claim that if you die late in the game, it's almost impossible to win. Because you come back with nothing. You have to fight a dead person that has all of your weapons like a flamethrower. You're like, pew, 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 pew. Which is why I never died. I would not die.
You just wouldn't die at all.
I didn't die. Like, I don't know how I pulled it off, but I was thankful for that. Because the game is, I mean, I'm not going as far as to say it's hard, but it's not easy either. There were definitely some.
Did you put it like on a hard mode?
I don't think there was a hard difficulty. I think it's a default. But it's just the fact that I always played conservatively because if I died, my mindset was that it would be over. So I just wouldn't let myself die.
You know, I saw on like my Facebook memories, I posted a picture of the end screen of Celeste. And it was like so many years ago, I finished Celeste. I was like, oh, that's nice. And it tells you like how many strawberries you collected through the game. And I was like, okay, that's respectable. I got a good percentage of the strawberries. And then it tells you how many times you died.
And oh, God.
It was over 2,500.
That actually does make you feel better, though, because that was why I was having trouble playing through the game. Once I started seeing the death rack, I was like, I can't take this.
And Christy, my wife Christy looked at it, and she was like, wow, Rob, you really liked that game. And like you really spent the time because you could tell by how many times you died playing this game that you put the time into it. And I was like, yeah, I did. I loved it.
I don't know what it is. I'm still very torn on the idea of like, does it help to show your deaths? Like, it's one thing if they show them at the end, I'll take it because if it's at the end, it's like, oh wow,
it's
every
gameplay. It's the journey though. It's like that many times, like oh that's right. I probably spent like 600 of them on like one section.
But sometimes you find yourself like, maybe I don't want to know the shame. I just want to feel like I'm like. Cause that's the thing when a game kills you and then puts you right back where you left off.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I can try again, and then eventually you get like, I did it. But if it's like that one episode, that one show where eventually actually, no, we kept track of every time you failed, and here's all of them in sequence. Like, no, don't tell me that. You know, I just know I did it.
It kind of reminds me of earlier. We had this discussion earlier tonight. We had this discussion of Robbie Reeby where it gave you grades as you played, right? And it's kind of like Sonic, like the Sonic games, like Sonic the 3D ones, where you finish the stage and you get like a grade based on how fast you went, how many points you picked up in coins or rings collect. You know what I'm talking about? Stones,
bling,
the
bling.
You collected along the way, right? But like, I kind of hate that because that means like, oh man, I worked so hard, I died 60 times, but I figured it out. I persisted. And I'm proud of myself. And you get to the end, it's like, congratulations, Sonic finished the level. You get a D. I'm like,
why, Sonic, why? Run faster.
So in this game, it's like, congratulations, you finished the game. It's a beautiful ending. And it just tells you how many times you died. It's not like D, it's not an F, it's just a number.
But then that number becomes the new grading mechanism. Now I got to do it dying once.
And that's in your head.
10 times.
That isn't like a grade. That's just like, hey, that's how long it took to play.
Well, I mean, you could also say that about Sonic's grades. Like, that letter means nothing. Sonic's still at the end of the stage. He succeeded.
There's no reason for that letter other than like, I want to get an A on every, or S rank or whatever on every single
gotta get the emblems.
Stage.
Need them emblems.
Emblems. I don't even know Sonic. I know Sonic up to Sonic and Knuckles, and I don't know you anymore.
He runs very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping he still does.
He got a road crew to follow him around with a camera.
If he stops running fast, I gotta reevaluate some things.
Sonic the Slowhole.
All right, I'm turning it. Jeez. What that should be his. That would be his nemesis, right? a very slow animal.
No, because the nemesis would be too slow to be a threat. Unless the animal had a way to make everything else slow.
But it's the only like anti-Sonic, right? It's got to be the only thing. It's got to be like a turtle.
No,
Sonic versus the evil turtle.
It just has to be something that eats hedgehogs.
It just happens to be like, you don't have to be fast. Just because you're fast doesn't mean you're going to fight. You're going to beat the turtle.
What is the hedgehog's natural predator?
It's a turtle.
It's not the turtle.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're Googling on the show right now. What is the hedgehog's natural predator? It is man. No.
Like he has no. The hedgehog is at the top of its own section.
What are hedgehogs
of the food
afraid
chain.
of? They're afraid of cats.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Milk.
So Blaze the cat is Sonic's nemesis?
Okay, interesting. Oh no, this is just a silly story about befriending a hedgehog. That is adorable. I'm gonna say a fox. Foxes probably eat hedgehogs.
So Tails.
Yeah, Tails.
Tails is Sonic's nemesis. He's just waiting to pounce.
We're breaking this down. The walls are crumbling around my
fragile game psyche.
Okay, the song's been over a while ago. It is now time for the show. In the part of
You're going to totally
play,
edit like half of that out.
and I'm leaving it all in. Man, I don't got time to edit anymore. This is it. This is time for the bonus round.
Bonus round, wow!
The bonus round is where we play covers and arrangements and remixes on our theme. Pernell, what do you got? Because I went hard on the Castlevania side of things.
In this case, I couldn't, in good faith, have this episode topic and not reference this track, or this game, rather. Considering I'm playing it right now. This is a cover, or rather an arrangement from the game Hollow Knight. This is the Hornet theme, which is basically that princess character, I guess. I'm still trying to figure out names. Everyone talks in like freaking Banjo-Kazooie noises. But this is Hornet's theme arranged by Martos. Welcome back. You were listening to Hornet's theme. I know Hornet's a character. Don't hate me. I just know the character exists in the game.
Don't tease me.
I fought her, but for some reason I didn't notice her name was Hornet. Anyway, this is Hornet's theme. It's the arrangement done from the game Hollow Knight, performed by Martos, and I was very much drawn to the sound that they provided for this track, the way it comes out, the instrument they played on, the marimba.
The marimba.
And that was my selling point, because it's funny, because I also was like, oh, Lame G did a cover for this. I'll check it out. And this is one of those weird cases where it's like, for as much as I love them and other bands that do this OST is more fitting for the calm, I think. Like, I'm used to doing like rock covers and metal albums and stuff, but Hollow Knight's OST, for the most part, seems like it's better suited, even from the coverscape, to be done in like wind instruments or like softer instruments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this just hit the right notes for me. I was in.
Yeah, I do love the sound of the malleted instruments, the xylophone, the marimba, the vibraphone. So especially when it's played like real quick like that, I think it's a cool sound. All right, my track's coming from Symphony of the Night. This is Dracula's Castle. This is covered by the Consoles.
Which part of it? Let me stop.
The whole thing, Pernell. This is 3 hours.
Dracula's Castle.
No. The Consoles, a fantastic jazz band, and doing incredible covers and arrangements of game music. So we're going to listen to this one from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That was Dracula's Castle from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, covered by the Consoles.
That was quick.
Souls. Yeah, cut that short.
I was changing my sweater. I was like, oh, put my sweater on.
Yeah, you were like, oh, I'm so warm down here. And I'm like, man, it's so cold in this basement. And now you're like, oh, it's so cold in this basement. I'm like, I take my shoes off.
Now I put my sweater on. It's cold.
That's what Dracula does, Pernell.
He changes the temperature.
He changes the temperature of the room. Oh, that's a ghost. Ghost makes it cold.
Dracula won't leave the thermostat alone. That's his ability. That's what makes him such a menace.
I love everything the Consoles does, but if you want to find more from the Consoles and from Martaz and his marimba, go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to all of these artists, Bandcamps and SoundClouds, and everywhere you can go, stream the music, download, and buy the music. And support these artists.
Is that how we know Dracula's a father? That he won't leave the thermostat alone?
He's just constantly changing it. Yeah. Yeah.
What a monster.
And he's also made a lot of other little baby vampires.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Spooky, right? All right, thanks for joining us on episode 35-9 of Rhythm and Pixels. It's our look at the Metroidvania games. We can do this all day. There's a lot of them.
There really are. And
not including Metroid, not including Castlevania.
Not including Vania.
Or the Vanias, any of the Vanias. But this is it, yeah. So we're listening to music from the game Infernax, a very bloody, gory, 8-bit style Metroidvania, but heavy on the Castlevania, particularly Simon's Quest.
Yes.
So it's very interesting.
I feel like I'm almost positive it was designed with Simon's Quest in mind, which is no complaints from me because I always felt that Simon's Quest it receives more hate than it deserves.
It's interesting. I liked Simon's Quest. It's so different. And it also brought some of the best music in the series, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you kneel at you have to have the red orb and kneel at the mountain.
Yeah, you will
for
get stuck
minute.
if you don't know. So
the game's translation is terrible and doesn't tell you.
Yeah, and if you're going to check out this one, Infernax, definitely make sure that you're not around little kids. It's pixely, but oh my gosh, is there gore and blood all over this game, which makes it very unique in its own way.
Well, I will say,
lots of warnings in the front of it, though. It tells you right ahead.
But now, out of curiosity, if you listen to this episode, you get to the end and you're like, but they didn't mention our favorite Metroidvania game. Well, there's the beauty of it. There are so many of these games.
There's the rub. We don't care.
No. I care.
No, we all care.
I just want to know. Just tell us. Come to the Rhythm and Discourse chat. Give us the skinny mini.
Yeah.
Tell us what your favorite Metroidvania games are, because I won't have time for them, but I'll put them on the list. And you never know. I may well just throw it in there because I want to play a game that you like.
Well, there's the one. There's a newer one that came out based on an old anime that we liked, with Deedlit's Adventure.
Oh, Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth.
Yeah, based on the anime
Record of Lodoss War.
Record of Lodoss War. Yeah, I'm like, wow. I hadn't thought of Record of Lodoss War in, gosh, at least 2 decades, more than that.
Yeah, I feel like no one has. Because I was surprised the game came out because I thought the entire property was kind of done.
Yeah, and Hammock was saying in the Discord that it's really good. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And it's not that long, and it's really the art style is really, really good. It plays very close to Symphony of the Night.
And it has an Ikaruga color changing sort of thing where if you're one element, you're invincible to it.
That's
but
super
then you
clever.
switch back and forth.
Yeah, to add that to the style of gameplay. The action exploration platforming.
But we've reached this weird zenith in the gamer sphere where Metroidvanias are all over the place. There's so many of them, more than you'll ever have time to play. But that also means that you have an abundance of choice.
A lot of them. A lot of choice.
So put your hand in the pot, reach in, feel all the grimy goop of the Metroidvania.
Do you have suggestions?
Yank one up.
Do you have suggestions for people to get into?
Tough bit here. I already named Robbie Reeby.
Yeah.
Jesus, this is a hard one to hit me on the fly like that. I feel like I need to take the Switch out and start rummaging.
I'll say if you're new to the
Cave
genre,
Story and Axiom Verge.
Yeah, if you're new to the genre, or you're not new to platform, but you want to kind of get back into what's new with it. Axiom Verge, definitely.
Shadow Complex,
absolutely. You want to check out Momodora, Reverie in Moonlight.
That's a good one.
It's really short, but it's really interesting, has a lot of interesting concepts, and it's not super difficult. Some of the bosses are pretty hard, but that's about it, The rest of the game is just a lot of fun. And you get to play as a cat, which is really cool.
Remember I'm playing with cats?
Yeah.
They're great. Make you feel good.
But yeah, I forgot about Shadow Complex. That's like one of the first ones past Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, it was originally an indie release on Xbox 360, and people took to it very quickly.
It's cool. It's a cool game. I hadn't thought of that one in so long until I started doing research for the show.
Yes, there's a lot of that, and that's also probably why I'm having so much difficulty remembering them.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's just so many. You play them, you move on. You play, you move on.
Yeah, but Cave Story is one of the original, also like an original indie style that I think everyone should really get into and check out. 'Cause it's got great humor. It's got challenging gameplay, a lot of exploration.
Well, I guess I should mention just SteamWorld again, even though I mentioned on the show earlier. SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2 are exceptional opportunities.
So if I'm gonna play that, should I jump into 1 or 2?
I would do 1 because I like them both. 2 is clearly better than 1, but 1 is still good enough that you should do it. That way you can look forward to playing 2 when you're done.
Okay, yeah, because I just want to hear that song. So maybe I'll just play that song while I play the game. This is really good.
This music seems very out of place as I'm running out of light in these minds.
If you want to talk to us and let us know what your favorite Metroidvania style game is, or if you just want to say hi, or if you have a track suggestion or even a topic suggestion, send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you want a full track listing of this episode, or of all of our episodes, and access to all of our episodes, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
rhythmandpixels@.com.
No caffeine has things, something.
Yeah, Pernell. This is Pernell's hard mode right now. I'm really impressed.
I'm trying.
I should say that our podcast feed on Spotify and Apple only goes back to like World 2 or World 3 at this point. So if you want to go and listen to Rhythm and Pixels Babies, the only way to do it is on the website.
They'll
right
make
now.
Your dreams come true.
I haven't even archived them on the YouTube yet. So it is on the website rhythmandpixels.com. You can also check out our radio station on YouTube. It is 24/7, 8-bit and 16-bit classics and deep cuts all day long. It's youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. We have a fun Discord. You can check us out on our Discord channel. It's linked on our website at the top of the website page. And you can just chat with us, chat with other podcasters and other game enthusiasts, music enthusiasts. We just talk about games, really.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, every once in a while we chat about what's going on with the show. You'll get announcements for Patreon exclusives, which I should remind everyone. Again, I should mention on the show now.
Do we have a topic for this one?
Not yet, but no, 4 in February.
Oh, duh. Duh. Caffeine!
We do have a Patreon. If you'd like to support us, you can go to Patreon. Patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. As a member there, you get access to episodes that are ad-free. You can also get them ad-free on YouTube because I don't put ads on YouTube. You can also get cool stuff like a monthly live-streamed episode once a month. You get to tune in and be a part of the show that we record for the normal feed. And there's also cool stuff at the higher tiers like mugs, T-shirts, stickers, all sorts of fun things, branded and video game music related. We also like to thank all of our members of the Patreon who are at the highest levels at the end of every episode. So we want to thank Brooke. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the new bunny!
She got a new bunny?
She got a new bunny and she built a little castle for it and everything.
I want to see pictures of that bunny. I want that bunny.
Don't say that too loud. You'll never see the bunny because she's protective of that rabbit.
Want to hold the bunny. Oh, very cool. Thank you very much, Brooke. Thank you to Corey. Thank you to Khalid. Thank you, all three of you, supremely. Thank you very much. We want to thank the Super Game Station.
Number 1.
Thank you, Kristen, Game Fan number 44. Thank you to Martyrus, host of the VGM podcast. Thank you to Mike Myers, Fashion 8060, the Antmaster. Thank you, Brian Pitt. Thank you, Cameron Werma, Carlos, Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast. Thank you to Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The wise guy.
Thank you to Christopher Senstrom, Chuck Kowalski, Davey Cakes, David Good, David Taylor, Enchilada Regol, Harold Howard, Triple Jeff, Justin Schneider, co-host of XVGM Radio, Keith Shusterman, Michael from
Dr. Michael Bridgewater.
I'm just like reading. Keith Shusterman has been in my head, no joke, for the past 2 weeks.
Really?
I lay in bed and I say, Keith Shusterman.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like why do I know this name? Why is this name in my head? Where have I seen this name? And I'm like,
bam!
Like, was he like a character like in Law and Order directed by Keith Shusterman? No, here he is right here.
Nailed it.
This is blowing my mind. This is what sleep deprivation does to you. Thank you, Michael Bridgewater, host of the former VGM podcast, which I hope is still out there, the Forever Sound Version podcast. If it's still out there, go check it out.
Still has the best radio voice.
Fantastic voice for radio. Also, a fantastic C64 demo scene music creator. Check him out at Mibri64, MIBRI 64 at Twitch and at Bandcamp.Mibri64. He's got a new album out now, and it's really awesome. It's some of it is just straight C64. Some of it is like C64 with other synthesizers. It's really cool.
He also wrote a really cool article, too, recently. Let me double-check real quick before I flip and forget. Yeah. Oh, he emailed it to me. Crap, I don't remember anymore. Anyway, the point is he wrote a really cool article on like C64 music, and it was published.
Yeah, he's got a few things published. I mean, he is Dr. Michael Bridgewater. He is our doctor. He's my primary care physician. I want to send a thanks to Rage Cage, host of the VG Emporium podcast, which I believe Pernell's going to be guesting on soon, or have you guested already?
I'm recording tomorrow.
Oh, good luck.
No caffeine.
Sugar's still an option, Pernell.
That is true. I should utilize that.
Thank you to Reinhard Selkova, Romancing Sagat. Thank you to Sleepy S'more, Steve Miller, Taco, Zach Thornbach, Alexander Proudfoot. Oh, wait a minute. I went too far. Thank you anyway. Thank you to all of you and many, many, many more for supporting our little show. It makes a huge difference to us. It makes a huge difference seeing your names every week. It makes a huge difference to our wallets, being able to afford the hosting and equipment and performing and presenting at conventions. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you all very, very much.
Much appreciated.
You don't have to. It's not required, but you do it anyway because you love the show, you love music, you love games, and we love you.
Don't make me cry over here.
I'm going to make Pernell cry.
That's that.
Anyway, our next episode might be our live stream. We will get that coordinated. If not, I think we have a wacky topic involving soda and cartoon villains.
Oh, yeah. That's just so funny one.
I still need to think about that one.
It's part of the fun, though. That's one of the topics that makes it great.
So anyway, thanks to everyone for listening to the show. And thank you also again to the guys over at Pocket Spades, T-Boys, Tabletop Gaming.
Terrence and Isaac.
It was great chatting with you. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
And remember, well, quite frankly, I'm half asleep, so forgive me for being all off base here. But honestly, you can pretty much engage in whatever kind of fun games you would like to engage in and whatever sort of activity you want to do within reason, of course. You don't have to find yourself pigeonholed into a particular style of game or style of music or particular crowd to fit in. You just do what you want, engage in what you want, and interact with who you want, and the people that matter will find you, or vice versa, of course. And you will in turn find your collective, find your group. We don't all have to be Metroidvanias, folks. We can be whatever genre we want, and that is perfectly fine and perfectly fun. I need a nap. Good night.